Go to Assessments, create a new assessment. Click Item Bank, and then OK. And I'm curious to see what happens to you all. No, don't worry, nobody's gonna like disappear. But the first time you go to the item bank, oh good. Okay. Yeah, so if you have to create an account, use your exact same Illuminate stuff that you use when you logged in. If you don't, bad things will happen. I promise you that. All right. One thing that we have to be very clear about, when we go over to the item bank and I say go over, it's not really part of Illuminate anymore. It looks like Illuminate in the background, but it's actually another vendor called Key Data Systems. So what we do is we start in Illuminate, we say we want to make an item bank test. We then jump over to the item bank area, make our test, and then we have to publish it back over to the Illuminate side. So that's just something I want to be clear about, that's a little confusing. There's going to be a button that says go back to Illuminate. And people are like, what? I thought I never left. Well, it's a little subtle, but. So here we go. We can do a couple of things when we make the test. We can choose standard mode, which is, I want to make a test, I want to pick the standards, and I want to pick the questions. If we do quick mode, sorry, I'm not a fan of this mode. We can say, I want the system to pick 5 questions for me from this standard. I want it to pick 3 questions for me from this standard. I'm sorry, personal thing here. I'm not a huge fan of letting the system pick the questions for you, but it is that it's possible. If we pick item, you can build your own item. So if you wanted to, you can spend time and retype the question, upload the graphics, all that stuff, and it's there. Passage, you can create your own passage. So you can upload entire text, have kids read it, and it's there. But what I'm hearing is we probably want to start here in standard mode. So I'm going to click that and I'm going to click next. This looks kind of familiar. So we're creating a test, we need to give it a name. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's do JCISD sample item bank. But you notice how it looks a little bit different than the previous time when we made an assessment. And it's because it is. We're in a different part of the system. We can put a description if we want to. I'm going to pick an academic year. I'm going to pick this year. You can do grade level if you want. I'm going to skip it. You can pick a subject, but I'm going to skip it. Then go ahead and click create. Once you click create, you get a new menu option, and this is where you can search through the standards to then have the system search those standards to show you the items that are available. So what standards are you assessing? I'm going to go over here to type, and I'm going to pick Common Core State Standards, Math, and let's go High School Stats and Probability. At this point, when you pick the standards, you should see items, but here's the catch, and don't get mad at me, I don't make these banks. If you're science, if you're social studies, there aren't any. And I used to teach social studies at middle school level, and people get really frustrated with that. Unfortunately, Common Core for math and ELA, it's easier for vendors to throw money at those standards because they're already nationally adopted. Next Gen is getting there, social studies is a whole different discussion, but you're going to find more items connected to Common Core standards. So thank you. You guys are nice over here. Nobody got really mad at me like I made that decision. I didn't.
Do they have state tests coming out for social studies with the law changing in a couple of years and student protocols?
All that I've seen so far is still M-STEP is normal, but maybe other people are privy to more stuff. I sit on the action team that's developing the accountability system under ESSA, and all we've been moving forward in that process with is M-STEP. but things change, right? Yeah, right. So here we go. We found for this standard 868 items. Cool. I'm gonna keep digging though, because if you click oh sorry, you already did it. It's okay. If you click 868, it's gonna take you to all those, and that's a bummer because you probably want to be more specific. I'm gonna get as specific as possible, and it behooves you to do that because then you don't have to sort through as many items. So I'm gonna say, all right, represent data. Yes, I'm in. That sounds like a good one. Interpret differences in shape and center. 43. So you see what happens? You click the number, and then the little link shows up, and the system knows that you want to look in further into those standards. Now this is where and you just saw me doing it, I like to scroll down and click search, but it's actually this continue button over here. Navigation is a little different because it is a different type of assistant. So I'm going to go over here and click continue. The system knows that I want to consider those standards, but now it wants to know what types of questions do I want. Do I want DOK 1, 2, 3, 4? Do I want technology enhanced items? Do I want passages? All of that stuff. And you choose based on these options here. So if we go to, let's see, item types, we can click select item types, and we can choose which type of items we want to see. So if you got the feeling that M-Step Online and technology enhanced items maybe didn't go so well for your kids, like the drag and drop, select multiple text, all that stuff, you could try to find items that match. But I'll tell you, and I didn't make it this way, that the more options you choose, the more you're filtering down your possible choices. So some people are like, I want this standard and I want a selectable text question. And then they don't have it because they're just being too specific. So just know that that's a possibility. Let's see here. Attributes. So if I click right here, under attributes, I can scroll down and I can look at all sorts of things. So I've got depth of knowledge, I've got blooms, I've got math practice. All of that is there. So this item bank, I don't know how Jackson's paid, if they're paying for it, if you guys, does anybody know? Is ISC paying for the item bank for you this year?
I don't know, from here, I'm not sure we're paying for it.
Yeah. Oh. Do you guys?
I got it.
Okay.
I don't know how we're paying for it.
I'll tell you in Calhoun.
We asked earlier, so we hope we're paying for it.
In Calhoun, we paid for this item bank it's like what is it, $1.50 per kid is what, so we covered that through that grant last year and this year. Next year it'll be a kind of a shared cost with the districts. But the nice part about it is, if you pay for the item bank, this is the kind of stuff you get. You're gonna get depth of knowledge, all of these filters. If you get just the free item bank, you don't get all this nice stuff. So this is really what you're paying for, is the ability to specify, and they're quality items. I really do think they are. I'm gonna go ahead and, let's see, I'm just gonna go ahead and click search. So you can pick all of your filters, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click search. After you pick your filters and click search, then the items eventually will load. So here's the time-consuming part. You have to scroll through, check it out, evaluate if it's something you like, and then when you do, click Add. And the more you play with this, the more you're going to have to discern, do I want an item bank item that the teacher has to use a rubric to grade, or do I want it to be totally selected response? Because again, like we point out over here, if you're trying to standardize the way that all 4 of those Algebra 1 teachers do the test, then no problem. letter rubric, you're gonna have to then do some standard setting on the rubric to make sure they all understand how to use the rubric the same way. So let's go ahead and take like maybe 1 minute and just add a few questions to your test. And then I want to show you how to complete this and then publish it so that you can actually see it on the real side of Illuminate. Kelly, can I grab?
Yeah, thanks.
Well, and to be honest, yeah, a level, I would be surprised if we're really level 3s. I mean, we said, oh, I got level 4s at a time, so multiple sources. And so what you could do, Illuminate will build those for you, so if you do it, that's what it's for. Or you can make it on your own. You empower them.
You delegate really well.
Empower.
These other things they should.
All right, so you've added a few questions. Next, we're going to click continue over on the right, and these tiles give you a breakdown about, I got 4 items, I got 3 standards, I've got 4, whatever this is, MA matching tables. Okay, cool. That's a breakdown of my blueprint of the test. I'm going to click continue. This is the review phase, and I know that because up here in the menu, I'm at this review tab. I go through and I'm like, okay, yep, this looks fantastic. This is the way to go. I'm going to go ahead and click continue again. It wants to know if I want to add a section. So I wanted to add a section of the test called multiple choice, and another section called constructed response. I could add sections. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have them all be in one section. That's mostly for reporting, so you can get a report how they do on the multiple choice versus the essay. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to click continue. You get some options for your booklet. So when you actually publish it, they don't have Comic Sans on there. Sorry. You guys know about that? There's like a huge movement against Comic Sans.
Really?
You guys know that? Yeah, Google it. Have we talked about this?
No.
Okay, all right. People in my office know that I'm not a huge fan of Comic Sans, so anytime that they get the opportunity to send anything to Comic Sans, I always get stuff with Comic Sans. So there you go, Kelly. Now you know. Everything that comes from Kelly is going to have Comic Sans.
And have to do on it in their
Yes.
email.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you pick your choices, and then you click Generate. And it will show you what the booklet looks like. And keep in mind, this is a booklet that you can print out. And this is probably a bad example because I didn't pick the great questions for a booklet. But if I can print this out and give it to kids, I can also print out the bubble sheet, so they don't need any technology to take this. Or I can administer this online, and if I administer it online, they can see the questions, they can see the distractors, all that stuff is online. And by the way, I should have read this right here. It told me hey, the questions you picked,